Yeah, I'm down here in Pearsall, Texas. Wanted to talk a little bit about Trump's big, beautiful bill, what I call the big bullshit bill, the scam on America. $3.8 trillion in tax cuts for the richest Americans, but poor rural hospitals closed down in communities like Pearsall and others. $350 billion for border wall and immigrant detention facilities. Ironically, taxpayers will pay the top dollar to house migrants, but in the most squalid conditions imaginable, all to continue his bullshit lies to you. We deserve better. We deserve people in office that truly want to serve the public, not just their rich friends.
San Antonio State Senator Roland Gutierrez from downtown Pearsall there. It's Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. And this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. It is indeed bullshit, and the whole world is watching the U.S. Senate, and many around the world lost sleep last night as Republicans in that body did all they could to force through the greatest heist in American history by the wealthy from the working class. The Associated Press updated just before 7 a.m. this morning that they've gone all night at the Senate in a tense overnight session that's now dragged into a new day this Tuesday, with Republican leaders in an uphill fight to secure support for this downright criminal bill, while fending off proposed amendments, mostly coming from Democrats trying to defeat the package. The Republicans can lose no more than 3 votes, and 2 of those appear to be gone. Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Rand Paul of Kentucky. Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine are on the fence. And if you've got some time this morning, maybe a call to their offices might be fun while you're at it. While they're both obviously 1,000% on board with whatever the dear leader wants, Texas Senators Ted Cruz and especially John Cornyn could perhaps use a reminder of how deeply unpopular this bill is among the American people. And maybe while you're on the horn, relay some information we're seeing from KXAN TV in Austin on the impacts this bill will have on their voters in the Lone Star State, in particular changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, for which Texas issued an estimated $7.2 billion in benefits over the fiscal year 2024, feeding over 3.5 million qualifying Texans. As things stand right now, the feds foot the bill for all of that, but Trump's big bullshit bill will require Texas to pay for part of it, just as our state government is starting to see that big budget surplus of ours begin to evaporate. As those costs rise, states that have trouble keeping up will likely kick people off the program or do away with participating in it altogether. Also from KXAN, same article, how this bill changes Medicaid for low-income Texans relying on the program for health care coverage. At present, 4 million of us, almost 15% of the state. This bill adds work requirements to Medicaid, so current recipients struggling to find work would be kicked off. Houston State House Rep and Minority Leader Gene Wu says, quote, "We're providing services for the absolute most vulnerable, most desperate people in our society. To say we're not going to provide the basic health care that people need to be healthy, that's not just evil, it's also really stupid," unquote. John Cornyn has crowed recently from the Senate floor that people who are kicked off Medicaid by the big bullshit bill had it coming. If you're a, quote, able-bodied adult struggling in a tough job market, basically, John Cornyn says, tough shit. Elon Musk is all worked up as well, but for purely selfish reasons. CNBC says Texas's least popular transplant is threatening to form his own political party and primary all of the Republicans who vote for this bill. That part sounds okay to us, actually. Trump responded by suggesting that Musk's own Doge operatives take a closer look at Tesla's federal subsidies. That sent Tesla's stock into a 5% pre-market trading dive this morning, and as I'm recording, it's down a little over 6%. Musk is in fact heavily reliant on government funding, not only for Tesla, but also for SpaceX. That was a bunch of your tax money that blew up on the ground the other day down at the Texas coast. So let's not cry for Elon Musk just yet. The Financial Times is citing a study that warns that the Doge dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, which officially closed as an independent agency yesterday after a 6-decade run of global humanitarian and development work, that, of course, was the initial target of Musk's rampage through our federal institutions in the opening weeks of the second Trump term. The end of USAID now threatens to allow 14 million extra deaths around the world by the end of the decade. 14 million deaths amounts to a catastrophic crime against humanity for which we hope Elon Musk is someday held in some way accountable. Back here in Texas, big news in the Senate race for the seat currently occupied by the aforementioned John Cornyn, but it sure doesn't look like for long. Former Dallas Congressman Colin Allred has formally launched his campaign for that seat as of this morning. Kayla Guo at the Texas Tribune reminds us that this will be Allred's second try for a Senate seat. He's the first major Democrat to formally announce, but it's unlikely he'll be the last. Upstart Democratic candidates Terry Virts of Houston and Mike Swanson of the San Antonio area have announced runs. We look forward to talking with Congressman Allred about his campaign. He proved difficult to nail down during his first Senate run against Ted Cruz, and we're hoping for better luck this time. Republicans turning against one of their own hard up in Cowtown. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and a host of other GOP biggies are calling for the resignation of Tarrant County GOP Chairman and honking clown Beau French over that poll he helpfully offered on Twitter to his followers, asking them to choose whether Jewish people or Muslims are a greater threat to America. Such a cheeky boy, that Beau. Fort Worth Congressman Craig Goldman wants French out too, as do Fort Worth Mayor Matty Parker, Tarrant County Commissioner Manny Ramirez, North Texas State Senators Phil King and Tan Parker, and more. This is interesting, though. Note the Republican pundits who are backing French here. Former state GOP chair Matt Rinaldi tried to frame this stupid tweet as somehow supportive of Israel. Michael Quinn Sullivan of the Texas Scorecard insisted that Beau French was defending the party brand with that tweet. Julie McCarty of the notorious True Texas Project, once again a fun bunch who have been identified as an extremist anti-government group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, says French was just calling a spade, her words. So the Republican establishment sees Beau French as a bigoted embarrassment. The hard-right lunatic fringe in Texas sees him as a standard bearer. Beau French, by the way, has said he has no plans to step down. He enjoys massive financial backing from right-wing PACs, including Empower Texans and Texas Right to Life, not to mention oil billionaire Tim Dunn and fellow ultra-MAGA Nazi coddler Jonathan Stickland. So this drama up in Cowtown looks to continue. Rank-and-file Republicans across Tarrant County now have a clear choice to make. We love a story in which ordinary people see our state government falling shamefully short and decide to do something about it. Teresa Woodard at WFAA in Dallas is writing about Chef Mark McDaniel, a caterer in Dallas, who learned of Governor Greg Abbott's recent veto of $60 million in state funding to support a federal food assistance program that would have kept almost 4 million lower-income Texas kids fed over summers when they don't have access to school cafeterias. And he took action. Chef Mark has started an initiative to find North Texas families needing assistance and to feed them. We're impressed. And if you'd like to help, hit the WFAA link in the show notes. Lots more of that, please. This week leading up to the 4th of July on Friday, we're hitting the road with Progress Texas Summer Vacation. Watch our social media feeds for great stuff from some of our most interesting locales across Texas and the U.S., many of which are now under direct threat from the Trump regime. Advocacy manager Reagan Stone visited the Alamo, where massive National Park Service cuts are being felt. MySanAntonio.com reports that the San Antonio Missions Law Enforcement Facility is one of the 34 offices across the country planned to be terminated under the direction of the Trump administration. And Advocacy and Development Coordinator Tatum Owens has been traveling in the Pacific Northwest as of late, including a visit to Washington State's Mount Rainier, where she's seen firsthand the effects of staffing cuts at national parks up there thanks to Donald Trump. More from Reuters on that in the show notes. Our mission here at Progress Texas is to counter the conservative disinformation machine, which is funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups, all while fact-based independent media outlets increasingly face funding threats. While access to those outlets is frequently free, as it is here at Progress Texas, it does take listener support to keep fact-based independent media going. If you've come to appreciate what we do here at Progress Texas, now more than ever we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to Ivan Friedman, Edith Frost, and Lucy Frost, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of you very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Links to all of these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.